Welcome to the Full Tactical Range by Range Systems. I'm Bo Dobozinski, and this is your Drill of the Week. This week's Drill of the Week, I want to tell you about the 3 things you need to stop doing if you want a faster draw time. Thing number 1 to stop doing is stop digging your thumb down behind the firearm during the snatch. What I mean by this is I see people with their thumb pointed straight down like this as they go to get the firearm out of the holster, and they try to dig their thumb down between their body and the gun, and then the firearm starts to come out. 2 things here. Thing number 1, we've got body mass in the way. If we start to try and dig our thumb down between the body and the firearm and the holster, things are going to slow down, things are going to get stuck. I've even seen people jam their thumbs doing this. Stop that. What we really want to be able to do when we reach for the firearm in the holster is get this webbing between my index finger and my thumb as deep into the tang of the firearm as possible. The way that happens is not by digging the thumb back behind the firearm, but instead pushing the webbing down deep into the tang. So how that looks is, instead of this reach behind with the thumb, I'm actually going to leave my thumb along the body and push the webbing into place. That's what's going to get that firearm seated fast and correctly. Next, you'll notice that when I came out that time, I came out because of my deep position, the webbing, with the gun, wrist, and elbow. I call it the shooting platform, in perfect alignment. The closer those things are to alignment, the more effective your shots downrange are going to be. Think about a machine on a platform. If the platform is broken, so see how this is not in alignment anymore, the less effective the machine operates. When you dig your thumb down behind, I see this all the time, where I don't get that proper alignment on the body. And so you have a less effective platform with also fingers that are going to want to tend to crush the gun more because you're dealing with more recoil because your platform setup isn't as effective. One of the elements that you'll need to consider when you do this, developing this, is to cut down the sweat guard. A lot of times holsters will have these great big gigantic sweat guards that'll come all the way up over the top of where the back of your slide is. Now, they're terribly comfortable having it there, but they're terribly ineffective for having a good fast draw. Here's what I mean. If the sweat guard is there nice and high, it's really hard for me to dig my finger back in behind here. It slows this down. Second element is people with those high sweat guards tend to grip their gun like this as they go to draw. So the thumb will actually be over the back of the slide, the gun will come out, then they'll have to readjust the gun as it's in motion. Somebody's trying to kill you, remember? And then I have to make that final grip during that bobbling getting into place. Don't want to do this. By cutting the sweat guard down a lot lower, it allows me to get my thumb seated back there correctly, so I've got that deep position in the webbing on the tang of the handgun, and I can deploy the firearm faster. Thing to stop doing, number 2, to increase your first shot on target draw time: stop being staccato with your support hand. Here's what I mean. When most people start to draw, they'll pull the firearm out, the gun will come out, then this hand will come over and it starts to come up. And you'll notice that for a bit, my firearm just sort of hung out right here. It didn't get all the way up into sight picture. That stopping of the momentum slows us down. We instead want to think that that firearm, once it comes out of the holster, is going to keep moving the entire time. There's no point at which it's going to stop in our motion. 2 things I see all the time that people do that contribute to that staccato, that stopping of the progress. Thing number 1 is what I call the belly peek. So once you see me doing it, if you catch yourself doing it, it'll be glaringly obvious and you'll wonder how long you've been doing it, but it's super common. Belly peek goes like this. I go and I clear the garment, I get my firearm, and then I must cover my belly before I come back up to engage with the firearm on the target. We're defending our lives. I don't think bad guy cares what your belly looks like, and probably nobody else at the range does too. So stop doing the belly peek. The trick to doing no belly peeks is that when you go to clear, you simply let go of the cover garment as soon as my hand has cleared the area. So it doesn't come down, it just lets go. Next element is when the support hand makes contact onto the firearm, that has to happen while the primary hand and the firearm are still in motion. Here's what I mean. I see this a lot where they'll go out, the gun comes out, they meet up with the hand, and then it starts to come out. But again, as soon as I do this, where the gun stops moving to the hand to meet up, I now stop the forward progress. We increase our first shot on target time. Instead, think about this gun as being on a track coming all the way out. It's gonna keep going no matter what. and I'm just going to allow my support hand to meet up with it wherever it happens to be. So you can see the difference. I'm going to staccatic stop it to put my support hand on. Had a moment where it stopped, the hitch. Now I'm going to do it where there's no stopping in the movement. Keeps going the whole time. So there's no point at which the primary hand firearm stops moving in the presentation. What that might mean though, is instead of getting that hand mounted onto the support hand mounted down here, you might have it mount up here, almost at the upper part of your chest or neck level in the presentation. It'll all simply depend on your body mechanics and making sure that your firearm keeps flowing the whole time. Technique to stop doing for a faster draw time, number 3, don't wait to the last second to get a sight alignment. Here's what I mean. When people go and draw, this is very, very common, is we'll see this position where the gun will come out and then it will get pushed all the way out and it'll make the final sight alignment in the last second of the full presentation. So it'll go all the way out and then right there, now I've got that final moment of it being there. Now when you're going slow, it's not so bad, right? We can go out, we can get that flash sight picture, we can make a shot on target. But what happens when people start to go fast is they'll wing it out there and they'll not sure where the sight is, have to find it, and then pull the trigger, which means the firearm gets to sit out there in empty space for a little bit until you start to find your sight. I've seen it as long as half to 3/4 of a second. That's a really long time for a firearm to be sitting out there in the open and not be shooting at somebody who may be shooting at you. To fix this problem, we want to try and get sight alignment earlier. The way to do that is to get that firearm up and level towards the eye line as quickly as you can. So rather than coming out here and then tipping finally at the end, I'm going to bring it here so that I can actually start to break shots before I get to my stopping point. So rather than having to wait here to break a shot, I can actually break shots before the gun actually gets all the way out. That takes off a ton of time for first shot on target, and I have a perfectly fine grip, perfectly good sight acquisition, and perfectly good acquisition of the target. So in review, 3 things you need to stop doing to get a faster draw time. Thing number 1, stop digging your thumb behind the firearm when you go to snatch. Remember to focus on putting the webbing of the primary hand as deep into the tang of the firearm as you can to get that good solid vice grip for a fast, solid snatch. Thing number 2, no staccatic movement with the support hand. At no point in time should this firearm stop its forward progress. It comes out, it's still going. That support hand just gets to meet up with it as the firearm is in motion. And then item number 3, don't wait for the last minute to get a sight alignment. So rather than getting sight alignment all the way here, get a sight alignment here. And then the shot can break before you get all the way to the end of your presentation. By just working on those 3 elements and getting rid of those 3 bad habits, you'll see a serious increase in your first shot on target time. Here in the Full Tactical Range by Range Systems, I'm Bo Dobozinski. We'll see you in the next drill of the week. Like what you saw? Subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep checking out the training blog for more tips and drills.